Hey guys, this isn't a shop tip video today. This is more of an informational video and an introduction to the car that's really the background of this YouTube channel, at least at this point. I had the opportunity recently to drive my son's Trans Am down at the drag strip, and it rekindled an interest that's 50 years old, actually more than 50 years old. And so I bought this 99 Z28, and that's going to be our budget weekend bracket racer. He actually videoed that whole event when I drove his car. It's pretty cool, and if I remember, hopefully, I'll put a link to it in the description. So this car, bought it from a local guy, a good guy. He's been helpful even after the sale. 99 Camaro Z28 in Hugger Orange. Now, I'm not one of these, one of 273 whatever type of guys. Those are mostly the dairy freeze Friday night cruise night guys that don't really run their cars. I wouldn't care if it's in primer black, but the guy that sold it to me felt that it was pretty significant that it was Hugger Orange. Apparently the Hugger Orange in maybe the 4th gen was a 1 year only color, and there were a certain number of Camaros that were in that color. But Chevy, I guess, doesn't keep that good records as far as right down to the nitty-gritty details. But there were so many hundreds of Camaros in Hugger Orange, but that included the ones with T-tops, that included V6 cars, it included all that stuff, in addition to the hardtop Z28s. So if that matters to anybody, it's kind of a rare-ish car like that. But again, I hate to be rude, but it doesn't really mean a lot to me. I just want the car to go down the track. And that's the way most racers are, I think. I think they're not a one of such and such number type guys. They're, how can I get a 10th off of my ET the next time around? So anyway, hard top, I'm glad for that. Even though I could probably get in a T-tops one easier, but I'm glad it's a hard top. And since it's a Z28, that means it already came with an LS engine, and that's kind of important. If you're shopping 4th gens, and by the way, I think the 4th gens are the biggest speed secret right now in motorsports. They're cheap, and they're very aerodynamic. They have a really low coefficient of drag, and you can throw any engine in it you want. If you're willing to do some butchery on the firewall, you can put a big block in there if you really wanted. But all these truck LSs, the 5.3, the 4.8s and all that stuff, they'll all bolt right in this car, okay? So you have to change some things, like, the intake manifold, different things like that, and we already have that. But being an LS car already, that means it's got the right K-member, got the right computer, even though we're going to have to reprogram it, the right harness, all that stuff, the stuff that we don't have to source. So I bought this car as a roller, no engine, no transmission. Has everything else though. I mean, the guy was really nice. He wrapped the drive shaft and the cross member and all stuff up in cling wrap and all that, and it came with the car. But no engine or transmission, which is perfect for us because we have a boatload of truck LSs. We have every displacement except for the LS7. I guess that's 427 cubic inches. We have the 4.8, 5.3. We have an aluminum LS1. We have a 6-liter sitting right over there on the other side of the car. And plus we have a 6.2, so that's, the all aluminum 6.2 with the rec port heads, okay? Now that's a Gen 4 engine. That won't go in here, at least not at first. But man, it would be cool to put those heads on the 6-liter, which would go right in here. The harness would fit. All the connections would work, and that would make a beast out of it. But all that, I believe we're going to start with the 4.8. It's just kind of cool to think about having the smallest displacement LS that's out there, and what can we really do with that? So all the other parts we're buying, we've already got a brand new Hughes 4,500 RPM stall converter. So that sucker is going to be singing when it leaves the starting line already, okay? I'm also going to be running a truck Turbo Hydro 400, okay, which means I have to change the cross member, which I have a UMI conversion cross member for that for a Turbo Hydro 400. Already have BMR solid engine mounts for the engine, but you know, this sucker's going to be flying when it takes off, even with the 4.8. I'm kind of really looking forward to just running the 4.8 just to see how fast we can get this sucker to go. But everything we're buying, we're future proofing. You know, like the headers we got, they're 1 7/8 primaries. All right, so they'll fit any of our LSs and work for us for whatever we're going to do in the future. Like I said, we have that Hughes stall torque converter, high stall torque converter. You know, everything we touch, we're making it so you know, we don't have to buy again. You know, buy once, cry once. So anyway, it has a 323 rear end. I wish that it had something much lower, but that's what it had. And the guy actually swapped that in. He said from his WS6, I think it is. That's, you know, Firebird speak. I'm not that familiar with that as much as I am with Chevrolet, even though I think the Firebirds, sorry Camaro guys, but I think the Firebirds are actually the most attractive of the 4th Gen F bodies. You know, they've got that Pontiac look, man, that Pontiac nose and all that. They just look bitchin'. Anyway, to my surprise, and I'm not really sure what exactly is going on with the rear end yet, but it is totally open. It is a wide open diff. So probably end up going with a mini spool. And so all this stuff that we're doing is going to be videoed. Okay, so if you have interest in, you know, how to do this with a 4th gen, you know, how do you put a truck Turbo Hydro 400 in a 4th gen, you know, we're going to go over all that. How to put a mini spool into a glass fragile 7.5-inch 10 bolt. I think they're 7.5, maybe they're 7.25. Anyway, the 10 bolt that always breaks, that's what we've got, right? So what are we going to do? Obviously, we're going to throw horsepower at it on slicks, right? I mean, why wouldn't you? Anyway, we're going to video all of that, okay? And, you know, the conversion of taking a truck engine and all the things you have to do to put it into a passenger car. Everything from the, you know, we've already got an LS6 intake. I went back to the guy I bought the car from and got the 4th gen passenger car PCM harness, oil pan change, all that stuff. We're going to do all that and we'll video it, okay? And so, you know, it may be information you've already seen before, but this channel is going to be just kind of entertainment. It's just, we're just going to have fun, you know, so that by the time we get to the track, you know, a lot of the local people will have seen the history of the car. So that'll be kind of cool. And as far as the track and local people, we'll be running this at the Spokane track, Killispay Raceway or whatever. I just call it QRP. So QRP in Spokane, that's where we're going to run it. That's where my son ran his, or runs his Trans Am. So anyway, that's about it. The car is actually in really good shape. I mean, there's not a dent on it. It's dusty right now, and there's a couple of places, very small places, where typical GM, the clear coat is failing and peeling. Okay, so I'm going to try maybe Scotch Brighting that, you know, with TSP or something and feathering out that edge, and maybe going on with a wipe on clear and see if that works. I mean, if it doesn't, it's not going to look any worse than it does now. The interior is in amazing shape, except for the seats. I mean, the carpet on the floor, the side panels on the doors, the back seats, everything is in incredibly nice condition, but the seats are just thrashed. So I think they must have been swapped out from another car. So I'm going to look for seats from another car just to bolt in. But the car is a good looking car. Anyway, I think it's going to be fun. I hope you guys enjoy it. And like I say, we'll each step along the way, It may be boring to a lot of you, but it might be entertaining, and some people may get information out of it. So we're gonna video the whole process, including running it down the track. And another thing we're gonna try to do is keep track of all the expense, including buying the car. This may seem like a lot of money to some people, but for this roller, full Z28, which means it's already set up for an LS, has the LS K member and all that stuff, with a beautiful body, really good condition, all that, with a title, I paid $1,000 for it. So now, guys are gonna say, well, gee, there's fourth gens out there for 250 to 400, 500 bucks. That's true. Most of those are V6 cars, and they either have a problem with the V6 or the dreaded 4L60E, okay? Now, you know, bless the 4L60E's heart, it's produced a lot of cheap 4th gen F bodies out there. And so if you can just get away from using that transmission, or if you have the talent to fix it, whatever, you know, there's some really good deal on 4th gens out there. So I didn't get an engine or transmission with this one, but I spent $1,000 for it because it's already set up for an LS. So there's a lot of expense I don't have to put out now because the car was already set up. So we're gonna keep track of all the expenses, and we're gonna keep track of it right to the point where we pull up to the timing booth and get that first time slip. And at that point, we'll pause everything and give you the total, exactly what it costs, using truck LS's, truck turbo hydro 400, all these used parts. What is it gonna take to get this car to make that run, that first run down the drag strip, and how much is it gonna cost? We're gonna keep track of all that, and we'll let you know if we get that far. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. See you next time.